It used to be my arms around Michelle in that photo. But when I looked again, they were gone. Same hallway, same wooden frame. But inside it, Michelle was smiling with someone else, and behind them, just empty branches. No trace of me, no trace of before. I didn't cry, I just stared. Long enough to wonder how fast love can be repainted when no one's watching, and whether the branches in that picture miss the roots they once held. Sometimes, when someone erases you, they think that's the end. But even what's erased still finds its way into the hands that remember. Michelle stopped calling on a Tuesday. Not after a fight. Not after slamming a door or sending a bitter message. Just silence. It crept in like dust, unnoticed at first. I thought it was the usual space between busy weeks. But the space widened. 3 days passed. Then 5. I called, left voicemails. No reply. After 2 weeks, her number went to a generic machine. No name, no warmth. You've reached the number. Please leave a message. I left 7. Still nothing. Then a box came in the mail, unmarked. No note. Inside, a few sweaters I'd knit years ago. The photo frame from her high school graduation. And the tiny baby shoes from Emily's first birthday. Ones I kept like they were sacred. The photo was missing. Just the frame. Empty. I opened my mouth, but no sound came. It felt like someone had died, but there was no obituary, no service, just the quiet death of being erased by someone you raised. I wanted to believe it was a phase, that maybe her husband said something, or she was overwhelmed, but deep down, I knew. It hadn't been sudden. It had been dripping through the years. Little things, little cuts. She would tell me she felt tired, and I would suggest a better routine. She would cry, and I'd hand her advice. Once, after Emily was born, she stood in my kitchen, hair a mess, shirt stained with formula. She said, "I feel like I'm failing," and I said, "You're making this harder than it needs to be." She didn't argue. She just looked at me, quiet, cold, and said, "You always made everything about you." I remember thinking she was overreacting. I wasn't shouting. I wasn't cruel. But I was always the loudest one in the room. I thought love meant guidance, correction, fixing what was wrong. But maybe she just wanted to be heard, just once. I remembered something from when she was 6. Michelle had made me a Mother's Day card, all scribbles and glue. She spelled mommy with 2 M's and a backwards Y. I corrected it with a red pen. She never made me another card. I thought she'd outgrow it. Turns out, she outgrew me. I still checked the mailbox. For weeks. Even when I stopped hoping. One day, I found a bobby pin near the door. Her old kind. Dark brown, bent at the tip. I held it like it could still hold her hair. Proof she had been here. Once. Now, she was gone. Not far. Just far enough that I couldn't follow. The house stayed the same. The clock still ticked. The faucet still dripped once every few minutes. The apple tree outside even bloomed that spring, as if nothing had changed. But everything had. I still made dinner most nights. Nothing fancy, just simple food. But I set 3 places. One for me, one for Michelle, one for Emily. Then I ate alone. I told myself it was habit, but it wasn't. It was hope. Hope that maybe, somehow, the empty seats would stop feeling so final. I didn't cry every day, but even the days I didn't, grief sat beside me, quiet, constant, like an old cat that never leaves the room. I swept around it, cooked around it, tried not to disturb it, but it stayed. It watched me fold blankets I didn't use. It watched me open drawers and touch things I should have thrown away. Emily's baby spoon, Michelle's high school t-shirt, worn soft at the collar. I kept them, not because I thought they'd come back, but because letting them go felt like betraying the fact that they were ever here. One morning, I found a receipt in my coat pocket, from a cafe Michelle loved when she was 20. I ran my fingers over the faded ink, like it might still be warm. There was a strange kind of cruelty in how the world moved on. Nobody asked about her, not because they didn't care, but because they didn't know what to say. How do you explain losing someone who's still breathing? There was no funeral, no memorial, just absence. I used to write her letters, not the real Michelle, but the one I saw in dreams. The one with tired eyes, but a soft smile. I'd write about the weather, about the tree, about how I didn't know if Emily liked peaches or peanut butter. I folded those letters carefully, placed them in the wooden box under my bed like offerings to a silent God. One night, I dreamed of her. She was rinsing a mug at the sink. Just there. Like no years had passed. I said, "I missed you." She looked at me and asked, "Why didn't you ever ask me how I felt?" I woke up holding the edge of my pillow like it might answer back. I lived in that house, but without them, I felt like a guest in my own skin, like someone waiting in a room they used to own. One afternoon, I opened the hall closet. Her prom dress still hung there, the dry cleaner's tag never removed. I didn't touch it. The color had faded, but the fabric still held a shape, as if she might walk in and reach for it. She didn't, and maybe never would. But the dress stayed, because some parts of love don't unspool, even when they go unworn. The envelope looked like it had taken a long journey. No return address, just my name, slightly misspelled. Inside, a sheet of lined paper, wide ruled, blue lines stretching too far apart, like they couldn't hold the word steady. The handwriting was awkward, careful, each letter floating as if it had been coached but not corrected. It said, "Hi, my name is Emily. Are you my grandma?" I couldn't breathe. It had been 16 years. I thought I'd imagined every possible letter that could come. Angry ones, forgiving ones, even cruel ones. But not this. Not from someone I'd never met. Not from her. The page had something else tucked inside. A photograph, torn in half. Faded at the edges but unmistakable. It was the left side of a picture I still kept in my drawer. Michelle, maybe 9 years old. Her arms stretched out to someone, to me. We were under the apple tree. That spring had been kind. I had kept the right half of that photo since the day she left. I pulled mine out, hands trembling. It matched. The two halves, though worn by time, still found each other. Folded with them was a scrap of notebook paper. It had faint pencil marks, barely legible. "Grandma, you look like Mommy." That's when the tears came. Not loud, just heavy. They fell in silence, one by one. I held the pieces in my lap and sat back. The apple tree, her small face, the clip in her hair, and the words I never said. So many memories I had packed away in drawers and boxes, thinking I was protecting myself, thinking I was holding on, but I wasn't. I was hiding. One memory hit hard. Michelle had written me a Mother's Day card when she was 8. It was messy. "You're the best mommy ever" was spelled wrong. She drew a heart with stick arms, and instead of hugging her like I should have, I had said, "Sweetheart, next time, don't forget the E in mother." She laughed, but it was the kind of laugh kids use when they're hurt but don't know how to say it. I never saw that card again. I remember wondering why she stopped making them. Now I knew. I hadn't left her, but I hadn't made it safe for her to stay. And still, she kept a photo, and her daughter found me. I opened the wooden box from under my bed, the one with the letters I never sent. Most were messy, some tear-stained, others bitter. But all of them were about me. How I missed her. How I hurt. Not once did I ask what she needed, or if she was okay. I felt ashamed. So I started over. I didn't write much, just one note. "You don't have to call me Grandma, but if your heart ever wonders, I'll be waiting. Right under that tree in the photo." No guilt, no explanation, just a quiet offering. I folded it, then I added a small item wrapped in tissue. Michelle's old hair clip, the wooden one with the red flower carved in. She wore it until the day she said she didn't like flowers anymore, the day she stopped reaching for me. I placed everything in a small package. No return address, just a name, just hope. At the post office, I didn't cry. But when I got home, I sat at the kitchen table and let it all fall out. Grief, guilt, a strange, quiet joy. Like I had finally stopped asking why the door had closed and just opened a window. 3 days later, a small envelope appeared under my door. Again, no return name. Inside, a single page of notebook paper, lined, crooked. On it, a drawing. A stick figure woman with gray curls and round glasses. A little heart drawn on the chest. And below it, in all caps letters, "I drew you. You look kind." That was all. No name, no signature, but it was enough. Enough to know she had seen me, not as the woman in the broken photo, not as the silence between 2 generations, but as someone she could imagine being kind. That night, I sat under the apple tree. The breeze touched my skin like a hand that remembered. I didn't bring a letter, just my breath, my memory, and the thought, she found me, even if she didn't know what she was looking for, even if her mother still couldn't say my name. She found me, and I will stay found, just in case she ever reaches again. I didn't look for Michelle, not because I didn't care, but because I finally understood. Some distances aren't meant to be chased. They have to return on their own. And if she never did, I would still be here, still loving, still whole. But Emily, she reached across. Not with blame, not even with clarity, just a question. "Are you my grandma?" That was all, and it was everything. I went to the closet and opened the old wooden box under my bed. Inside were years of letters, some angry, some aching, some I couldn't bear to read again. But I found one, quiet, short. It simply said, "You don't have to call me anything, but if your heart ever wonders, I'll be under that apple tree waiting quietly. Proud of you anyway. And if you ever plant a tree of your own, maybe leave room beneath it for questions. I folded the letter slowly, then wrapped Michelle's old hair clip in flannel, the kind from Grandma Louise's porch bed, soft and worn from naps in summer heat. I placed both in a small parcel. No return address, no name, just Emily's first name. And on the back of the envelope, I wrote, "If this finds you, it was meant to." I stood at the door for a long time, coat on, parcel in hand. Before I left, I turned back toward the dining table. 3 chairs, 3 plates, still set. 1 for me, 1 for Michelle, 1 for Emily. I hadn't had guests in years, but I'd never stopped setting the table like they'd arrive. That day, for the first time, I picked up 2 of the plates, gently. Not because I gave up, but because I was ready to stop living in the space where they didn't show up. I walked 3 blocks to the blue mailbox, dropped the envelope inside, didn't rush, didn't hesitate. And when the lid clanked shut, I whispered, not a prayer, but a release. This isn't a plea. It's just a place for love to land. The house was still quiet, but it didn't ache anymore. It breathed. That day, the light came in softer, like it didn't need to explain anything. I found the drawing under the door, folded, torn at the edge, notebook paper. On it, a figure with gray curls, round glasses, a little heart on the chest. Below, in crooked handwriting, "I drew you. You look kind." No name, but I didn't need one. I carried the paper out to the apple tree. The breeze was gentle. Spring was barely blooming. Tiny white blossoms scattered on the ground like quiet confetti. I brought 1 chair, not for guests, just for me. I sat down, drawing in hand, the flannel folded in my lap. For a long while, I didn't move, didn't need to. It was enough to be here, still, breathing. Then I reached into my pocket. I had taken a letter from the old wooden box, one I wrote to Michelle years ago. A letter filled with things I never had the courage to say out loud. I unfolded it slowly, read it one last time, and then I tore it gently, piece by piece, and let the wind carry the pieces into the roots of the tree. Not to forget her, not to erase anything, but to stop holding it all alone. Let the words go. Let the ground take them. Let something else grow. I sat there until the sky turned the color of chamomile, until the petals stopped moving, until it felt like the silence was full, not empty. That night, I placed the drawing beside the taped photograph. 2 halves, once torn, now resting together. And I whispered, "She found me." Then, after a long breath, "Maybe you've been found too, not by the one who left, but by the part of you that stayed kind anyway." If someone ever told the world a story about you and left out the part where you were kind, this space is for you. If you've been waiting, not for a knock at the door, but for a sign that your love left a mark, maybe this is it. You don't have to write the whole story. Just one line, sweetheart. The comment box is open. Or if your heart needs a quieter place, the email is right below. Has love ever come back to you in a form you almost missed? If this story reminded you of someone, maybe they need it too. And remember, sometimes love doesn't come back the way it left, but it still comes back.